Yes. So I'll be having a live translation. So everything. Okay, then I'll be going slowly. Cool. Everyone- So the people can hear me now, right? Everyone can hear me? Yeah? Cool. Well, thanks for being here. I'm MUNA RIBAS, and I define myself as a cyborg because I unite to myself to technology in order to extend my senses beyond my natural ones. But I'll start from the beginning. I'm actually a choreographer and a dancer. And since I was studying dance, I realized that as a dancer, you can create movement, but you can also find movement. I mean, there are many things that move around us that we don't perceive. And I realized that I unite myself with technology, I could perceive this imperceptible movement that is around us, but we don't perceive. So 2007, I'm being united to technology in order to perceive movement in a deeper way. And I did several projects. And my first project was this. I had this type of glove that I put it in my hand. And actually, I would point at people, and this would tell me the speed of the people walking in front of me. So I could know, the average speed of the people. So I would point, and this glove would tell me if someone was walking 3 per hour, or 5 per hour, or 7 per hour. But as you see, it had some issues, some inconvenience, because this I had to point on people, and it was kind of rude and too much. And actually, I didn't want to see the speed. I wanted to feel the speed. I wanted to have this new sense of feeling the speed of the people in a more natural way. So in order to do that, with the help of an engineer, I transformed this type of glove into a pair of earrings. So I was wearing these earrings for a while. And then if someone was walking from right to left, I would feel a vibration on my right ear and then a vibration on my left ear. And depending on the interval of each vibration, I would know the speed of the people walking in front of me. And after doing that, I actually realized that this like a common movement sense that we all have. Depending on where you are and the people you have around, you will tend to walk faster or slower. So I decided to do like a research, like a dictionary of movement based on the speed of the people of each capital city of Europe. So I traveled to each capital, detecting the average speed of the citizens. So now I created like this dictionary, and I can ask dancers to move like the speed of Berlin or Rome or London, like depending of their movement qualities. During this research, I realized that actually one of the fastest cities in Europe is London. Also, Stockholm was very fast, surprisingly. And the slowest capital city was the Vatican City, basically, because it's just one line of people waiting to enter the Vatican, and no one ever runs there. So it's a very calm and a slow city. If you want to be calm, in Europe, you should go there. After doing this for a while, about the speed of the people, I decided to turn around my earrings, and this allowed me to perceive presence that I had behind my body. Actually, our senses are focused in the front of our bodies. Like in the back of our bodies, we are very dead sensory speaking. Like we don't have too much senses. And actually, it's weird because it's a sense that we give to cars. New cars can detect if they're getting closer to another car when they go back, but actually lots of humans don't know when someone is getting closer to them, to their back. So I think if we all had these sensors in the back of our bodies, the way that we move through cities, or the way we walk, or the way we play sports would be very different. So I had this sense for a while, and this allowed me like this. My perception changed, so I had a 360-degree perception of my surroundings. I don't know the translation is going well. Maybe I should go slower, I'm not sure. Okay, so after experiencing this movement that I had around, I wanted to perceive a more universal movement. I wanted to perceive a movement, an extension of the movement that didn't depend on people. I mean, humans are not the only ones who create movement. There are other things that move. So I had this image and I thought, okay, if I would be alone in the planet, how could I perceive movement? What is elsewhere? Like, what is the movement somewhere else? And then I realized that actually the Earth constantly moves. Not only rotates by itself and around the sun, but it shakes constantly through earthquakes. And I thought it would be fascinating to be united to this huge and natural movement that most of the time is imperceptible, but is actually constantly existing, but most of the time we don't perceive it. So this idea really fulfilled me, and then it's when I created the seismic sense. So I had 2 implants inside my feet that were connected to online seismographs. And whenever there was an earthquake somewhere in the planet, I would feel a vibration inside my body. And depending on the intensity of the earthquake, the vibration I would feel, it would be more intense or less intense. So I call this, the seismic sense, the sense of feeling the seismic activity of the planet in real time. So, of course, at the beginning, I had to get used to these vibrations, these constant vibrations inside the body. Because I think, so the Earth moves very often. So I had these constant vibrations, and for example, at the beginning, I would be very distracted, or I would be talking with someone. If I would get a vibration, I would stop talking. Or when I was sleeping, I would wake up more often. But after a while, I got used to having these vibrations, and I adapted to it in a way that at the end I describe it in a way that I add a new beat inside my body. I have my heartbeat and the earth beat also having its own rhythm inside my body. So I really united with this new sense. I see this as cyborg art. For me, everything, all these experiments have an artistic base. It's just about getting connection to the movement in other ways. And I see this as cyborg art. Cyborg art for me is like the creation and design of your own perception of reality. There are many things that exist around us that we don't perceive, but if we create a new sense, we can perceive these things that are imperceptible. And so cyborg art, for me, the artwork of a cyborg artist would be the creation of a new sense and a new body part. I think is a bit weird about cyborg art is that the artwork happens inside the artist. So for me, the seismic sense is my artwork, but the problem is that it's inside my body. So in a way, I'm the only one in the audience perceiving this art. So in order to share what I feel, I create performances. One of the performances that I have, it's called Waiting for Earthquakes, which is a real-time performance-based piece. So it can last 10 minutes, so it can last hours. I usually perform it in museums. And it's an invitation to the audience just to sit there and wait for the earth and listen to the earth to move. So it's a bit like, so I stand still, and whenever there's an earthquake, I move according to the intensity of the earthquake. So it's a bit like a duet between the earth and myself. Actually, earth is the choreographer of this piece. Whenever she moves, I move according to the intensity. So in a way, if there are no earthquakes during the performance, there is no dance. Some festivals are always worried about this, that there will be no dance, but usually the earth finally always keeps moving. So I end up always moving. But yeah, this is one of the pieces. And another way that I have to share this is through percussion. I play the drum, so the rhythm of the piece is based on the rhythm of how the earth and the tectonic plates move. I have two ways of doing this. One is based also on real time. So whenever the earth moves, the piece will be more or less intense. And another way that I have to do it is by creating some music scores. In order to do that, I research all the seismic data that had happened in a specific place some years ago. For example, first one that I did, it was in Mexico. So I researched all the earthquakes that happened in Mexico in the last 50 years. And I put them all together in a score that it looked like this. And then when I went to Mexico, I played it in front of the audience, in front of the Mexican people, so they could hear how the country had been moving in the last 50 years through the rhythm of and the percussion of the drum. So again, in that case, Earth is the component of the piece, and I'm just interpreting the data that she gives me. In 2010, I co-founded the Cyber Foundation along with my childhood friend Neil Harbison. And basically, the three aims that we have to create this, to create the foundation was, one is to help others to become cyborgs and to understand their senses and creating new body parts in order to perceive reality in another way. The other one was to promote cyborg art and as an artistic movement. And the third aim was to defend cyborg rights, to defend the freedom of deciding what organs and senses do you want to have. Actually, since it was created, the word cyborg has changed in many different ways. Actually, cyborg was coined by two scientists, Nathan Klein and Manfred Kleins. And NASA asked them to write an article in NASA magazine. And they thought that we needed another word apart from bionic. And also they thought, okay, if in the human nature is to keep exploring the planet and going to space, instead of living inside the spaceships, we would need in the future to modify ourselves in order to survive in other environments. So if we to survive in a space, we should have other ways of breathing and other skins instead of just living in little capsules. So they create the word cyborg, which is the modification of oneself in order to survive in other environments. And we relate to this, to the first definition, because we think that maybe now it's time to modify ourselves in order to understand better the planet we live in. But since it was coined, it has been used in many different ways. So from the Cyber Foundation, we thought, okay, maybe there's like three ways of defining yourself as a cyborg. One could be a psychological cyborg, which is the psychological feeling of being united to technology. Maybe most of you are already psychological cyborgs, because when your mobile phone is running out of battery, you're saying, I'm running out of battery, instead of saying my mobile phone is running out of battery. So you have this psychological feeling of being united to technology. One could be a biological cyborg, which is like the physical union between yourself and technology. And one could be a neurological cyborg, which is the modification of the brain and the mind because you've been united to technology for so long. And then since last year, I realized that maybe another term exists. Actually, I had this seismic sense, my implants, and the experiment of being united to this new sense for almost 7 years. And last year, I decided that I wanted to have something different, a radical change. And the most radical thing I could do, it was to take my implants out. So actually, this was a very scary feeling. I think I was more scared to take the implants out than to put them in, because I thought that everything would be different. Yeah, it's scary to have a radical change. But I felt the need to step differently, like to go through another path. So I decided to take them out. And the weird thing happened that when I took them out, I could still feel the vibrations for some months. So I had what I call a phantom effect. You know, like this effect of when people have an accident, for example, and they lose their limb, but they feel that they still have it. So the same happened to me. So I took the implants out, but I could still feel the vibrations inside my body. And then I thought maybe I am a phantom cyborg because I still feel this when I don't have the implant. Now for the past months has been fading away, and now I'm starting to think about my next sense that I want to be related on the sea. So this is when I took them out. Also, another thing that I realized that actually having this new sense don't make me a human 100%, me and my colleagues. So having this new sense and these no body parts doesn't define, it's a new sense and body part that humans don't have. So I don't feel 100% human. And I think we like to feel a bit different from transhumanists, because usually they unite to technology in order to be like a better human. But I don't think it's not our aim for us. We unite to technology in order to have a different experience of reality. So we feel that we are transspecies because we have a new sense and a new body part that it's not human anymore. Another example of a person who feels transspecies is my friend Neil, that he has an antenna. Antennas is not a human thing. It's related more to the animal world. But actually he has this antenna implanted in his skull and allows him to perceive colors from infrared to ultraviolet through vibrations that become sound. So he can hear colors. And actually, he went to Barcelona to talk to a doctor to be able to implant this antenna to his skull. And they said in Barcelona, okay, if we want to have this surgery, you need to talk to the bioethical committee. So then he gave a talk to the bioethical committee of the hospital. At the end, they decided that they wouldn't do this surgery in the hospital. And basically, they were giving him 3 reasons. 1, that it wasn't necessary. 2, that it could be dangerous. And 3, that they were worried about the image if someone was walking as a normal human and then coming out with an antenna. And actually, we find a similar parallelism with the transgender community. If someone felt like a man and wanted to have the body of a woman, on the 30s and the 20s and 30s, they were given the same reasons, that it wasn't necessary, that it would be dangerous, and they were worried about the image if someone walking as a man and coming out as a woman. So we hope that in the future we can have surgeries with new body parts and senses. We did the Speech Society in Barcelona to create more senses. And some of the projects that we did in the Cyborg Foundation, it's, for example, what we call a transcendental communication system. Actually, we were invited in Brazil to work with 15 engineers, 15 very talented people. And we had to do something for 1 week. And actually, I have a tooth missing in my mouth, and Neil had 2 teeth missing in his mouth. So we decided that 1 tooth was implanted in my mouth and another tooth was implanted in Neil's mouth. Whenever I click like this, he would feel a vibration, and whenever he clicked, I would feel a vibration. And we both know the Morse code, so we were actually able to communicate to each other by clicking our mouth from tooth to tooth. So we call this a transcendental communication system, because we were able to communicate from mouth to mouth. This was a first tryout that we did, like an experiment. I was sitting at the end of a table, and he was sitting at the other end of a table face it in our backs, so we didn't see each other. And then the audience would write a word, and then it would be like by clicking, send him a word, and then he would write the word. So it was the first try out of this new system of communication. And actually, it's a communication that it could work for people that cannot move at all. Or also, maybe it could also work for in space, because you don't need to air to communicate to each other. And the funny thing also is that it was made with Bluetooth, so it was actually a Bluetooth tooth for real. We have the Cyber Foundation Labs, which is a studio in Barcelona, and Félix Binario is the engineer who helped us to create all these new sensors. Another sensors that are created, it's, for example, from the artist Manel de Aguas. He really liked rain, and he wanted to be connected to the weather. So actually, he has these fins implanted in the side of his skull, and these fins allows him to perceive the atmospheric pressure. And if you know the changes of atmospheric pressure, you can know if it's going to rain or if it's going to be sunny. So he's actually the weatherman, because he's connected to the weather. Another sense that we're trying on is the air quality sense that actually will be in our hand. This is just the first prototype. So this allows you to feel the quality of air, to know if the air is very polluted or very contaminated. And actually, this could change your way of going home and trying to find the less polluted way of arriving home if you have this new sense. Yeah, and I don't know if you remember, but Neil had another tooth missing. So in the other one, we put some bioluminescence. So whenever he clicked, also the light of his tooth would all go on and off. But the problem is that when he was eating, it would go on and off very often. So we have to find another system to have bioluminescence. Echolocation, this is Joe Degny, another artist, that he has the similar thing of perceiving what he has behind him, but he added some temperature, so he can know if it's someone alive or it's just an object that it goes closer. Now, Prats made this prototype of feeling ultraviolet perception. This is some magnetic hair implant. So this idea is that you can have some magnetic hair implanted in your head, and you can feel the magnetic field around you. So, for example, if you would walk past to a fridge, your head would move. So it's like an interactive hair. This is a prototype that a student did after a workshop. Actually, this part of the body, it's called solar plexus. And this prototype was that we had some sensors connected to the heat of the sun. So you could see how the heat of the sun, that you would be connected to it. The Cosmic Sense is by Kyle Lander. It's also an artist from Barcelona. He can feel the cosmic rays coming through to the planet through sound. He has this is changing. So now he has like a color in the head. It transforms the color rays into sound. And yeah, actually, what I want to say also is like all these sensors actually connect us to nature. Like all of us, now that we identify ourselves as a cyborg, we actually don't feel closer to robots or to machines. We feel closer to Earth. I feel closer to Earth because I could feel that it's constantly moving and alive, and also closer to other species, to other animals that also live the Earth. Also, like about feeling how alive our planet is, I think it's very different to know that the Earth is moving than actually to feel that the Earth is moving. Also, we get inspired a lot by the senses that other animals have. Sometimes we don't need to think anything about science fiction. If we take a look at nature, something that it feels very natural actually is very natural. For example, some animals can perceive ultraviolet, infrared. Some animals can fly. Some animals, can create light by themselves. Even immortality already exists in nature because there's a jellyfish that keeps regenerating. So I think we can get inspired how they perceive the reality, and then we add these new senses in ourselves. And we call this actually reveal reality. I don't think it is virtual reality or augmented reality. We call this reveal reality because there's this reality that exists, but we don't perceive because our senses are limited. Depending on our senses, we experience the outside world and the reality in different ways. So if we add new senses, it's like revealing this reality that it's hidden from us. Also, we think that actually humans have been changing the cities and the environment for many, many, many years. And maybe we have arrived in a time that it would be more useful to modify ourselves in order to understand better where we live and where we are, instead of changing the environment so much, maybe like animals have been doing. And this is a last project. While I was feeling the earthquakes, my aim was also to feel the moonquakes, to reconnect to the seismic activity of the moon. I did actually feel moonquakes, but I couldn't manage to feel it in real time, but I did it from the ones that were already registered. And actually, we call this to be a senstronaut. We no longer need to go physically on a space in order to explore it. We can remain on Earth and have a new sense of explore space while we are here. And we call this to be a senstronaut. And just to finish, I think that we are the ones, actually, our society that needs to decide how we want to unite with technology, that it doesn't have to alienate us from nature or other species, that actually we are the ones that can decide that actually the union between humans and technology can make us closer to nature, to understand it better, to other animals, and also to space. And that's it. Thank you. Okay. It's weird because I just see some people from the back. I can't see myself. I think now you can ask questions if you have any.
Inevitable future for all the humanity.
Yeah, at the beginning, I thought that so like 15 years ago when Neil started to have this antenna and everything, we thought, okay, in 5 years, everything will be so different. And then 50 years later, I realized that it is different, but not that different. I think society takes a long time to actually really change. And I have these two ideas. I don't think everyone should be a cyborg. I think everyone should have the freedom of deciding if united to technology or not. And I don't think everyone would do it. I think more people would do it, but I don't see it like this. And especially now with COVID and all these things, I feel like even more people will go away from technology and maybe doing more things that are closer to them. I have these two images from the future. One is like that everything that we relate now with technology, it's just part of this era. That in the future we won't travel on plane, maybe internet also will stop, or I don't know, and everyone will be more like how our parents would live. Or I have this idea also in the future that more normal to have implants and new sensors. And I mean, there's already a company in Sweden that all the employees have chips in their hands, and they can log in the business by the chip. So I think I think that the use of technology in our society, people accept that you unite the technology for medical reasons or for more functional reasons. And I think now slowly people will accept also to unite the technology just to experiment and for more artistic reasons. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the future. I hope it will be more normal. That was a very long answer. Sorry.
Вы перечислили, что возможно вот такие виды киборгов, как психологический, биологический, неврологический, фантомный. Вопрос следующий. Возможен ли некий религиозный киборг, в том смысле, что возможен ли имплант, такой имплант, если человеку его вставляют, он может почувствовать, например, некие религиозные чувства высшего порядка, такие как нирвана, то есть войти в нирвану, назовем так.
I don't know. Lots of people actually always say that when we give the talks that actually they want to feel more, that they would like to know what the other people feel, and this much more psychological, but really like the how the brain works. To be honest, I think this is so much more complex, and I have no idea. You should ask this to an engineer or a medical person. I think it's actually extremely complex, these things, because they are very... Usually what we do is something that is already real, or like a machine can detect already, for example, the earthquakes, the seismographs exist, or the cosmic rays, something that the data is already there, and we just transform this data into a new input from our body. But what you're saying, that it's much more psychological feelings or beliefs, I think this is extremely complex. I'm not even sure that this is possible. For us, it's not possible, but I'm not sure. Maybe someone else can do it. I don't know.
Тебя за участие. Надеемся, что когда-нибудь на следующем Чипре ты приедешь к нам офлайн, когда эпидемия ковида подойдет к концу. И спасибо большое за твою презентацию. Спасибо. И хорошего времени еще сегодня. Пока.
Thank you.
Да, большое спасибо всем.